Welcome to Drafting Out Loud, where today we're going to go over the underdog market movers, and things are getting tough in the underdog streets. You probably should just be saving your bullets unless you're targeting one riser and one faller, and we're going to talk about those players today. Let's get into it. So first off, our risers. If we're not targeting Rashee Rice, we probably shouldn't be drafting right now. He's probably one of the only true values right now. Rashee Rice could be a middle of the second or better pick when Best Ball Mania comes. And so we want to try to get some of that value while we can, because a lot of the value has been squeezed out of all the other players. Look who else is on this list that's rising. There's no one here that where you're like, yes, I definitely need to grab that player. If I had to give you two other players that are maybe intriguing players for some value still to squeeze out, it's probably the two rookie wide receivers on here in Omar Cooper Jr. and Jeremy Bernard here. And I'm not saying there's a lot, but if you wanted me to make a case for them, I'd say that Omar Cooper Jr. is going after Jalen McMillan and Khalil Shakir and Jaden Higgins and Matthew Golden and Jalen Coker and Josh Downs. And then the next one after that is another rookie in Casey Concepcion. So all those wide receivers that he's going ahead of, I'm not saying he should go ahead of all them, but there definitely is risk in all their profiles. And there's a chance they just don't perform up to that ADP. And there's a chance that Omar Cooper Jr. ends up in the right spot, is like a number two wide receiver on a team, and outperforms those other players that are still, some of those are still kind of rookies or first, second, third year players, that kind of stuff. Not rookies, sorry, but second year players, third year players. And so there's a chance that Omar Cooper Jr., if he gets to the right landing spot, could outperform and gets good draft capital, could outperform those players. Similar with Bernard, he's going towards the end of drafts. He's projected in a lot of places to go in the second round now of the NFL draft. And if he gets drafted in the second round, then you got to start wondering, like, okay, that draft capital means that a pick 200 probably doesn't make a lot of sense for him. So those are the two other wide receivers on this list that I would consider maybe like potential targets. Everyone else, you might like them, you might not like them, your call, whatever. But I think a lot of the value has been squeezed out again, which makes it tough to draft on Underdog right now. When it comes to the fallers, it makes sense why a lot of these players are falling. But again, there's one player I think you want to target if you can get lucky enough to catch him falling, and that's Puka Nacua. I've seen him fall to like pick number 7 or something like that. If you get Puka Nacua after pick 4, like, thank you very much. Get a little unique. I don't think I've gotten Puka Nacua outside of pick 3 or 4. So I get him at pick 5, 6, 7, 8. I'm going to be really happy with that, because then I don't have to draft CMC. I don't have to draft Jonathan Taylor. I don't have to draft, Amon-Ra or something like that again, right? So if you're not targeting Rashee Rice in the second/third round, and you're not targeting Puka Nacua in the first round, I think you're missing out on the only obvious value that's on the board right now. The rest of these fallers, for the most part, they kind of make sense why they're falling, either because of their profile or because of other players that are around them that might be rising or something like that. So not that they're all bad players, but again, Puka and Rashee Rice are the way you want to go, if you ask me. We still have those free agents falling. So we got like Juwan Jennings here still falling. I think those are interesting targets later on. You expect if Juwan Jennings, Stephon Diggs, Deebo Samuel, if they do sign somewhere that makes sense, they got to rise, right? Like 20 picks or something like that, a couple rounds at least. Some of that rise just because, they're in the news. Some of that rise also like, now I know who to stack them with. And so they start to get just pulled up a little bit, and then they incrementally get pulled up because now other people are drafting them earlier because their ADP has changed. So you're kind of like playing a game of, I need to make sure I get them. So you can expect like a 20 pick rise probably for any of them. And yeah, so those are the other fallers. And then when it comes to the platform values on Underdog here, not nearly as exciting as they are on DraftKings. On DraftKings, it's a list of a bunch of players that I really want to take. On Underdog, It's a list of players that are either overpriced on DraftKings or are priced correctly just due to PPR scamming on DraftKings, with a couple exceptions. Again, Rashee Rice, his price is getting corrected. You can see it's been corrected even more on DraftKings. He's now picking 23 already on there. So you definitely got to move up to get him on DraftKings. You might get a little bit more of a slide on Underdog if you're lucky. Uh, DJ Moore, just a crazy price on DraftKings here. But then if we look at the rest of them, Zach Charbonnet, injured at the end of the season, probably doesn't make a whole lot of sense. First round pick, who cares? Grab if you want to. This is the second. Colby Parkinson's probably the second most exciting player on this list, potentially as far as value goes. You can get Parkinson with like the last round pick or second to last round pick, which I think is a pretty solid one. And then we got Parker Washington. Some people are high on him, some people are not. I don't know what to do, so I take him when I can on Underdog at the value. And then down here, we have some that are, I like Colston Loveland, but just grabbing those early tight ends is tough. So when we look at this list, you might like some of these players. And of course, these are values compared to DraftKings. So you might like them for that reason as well. But there aren't many players on this list that you can just get jazzed up for because they're awesome players overall. It's more like I'm kind of excited potentially because their value. And it's almost like dot, 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 nothing else for the most part. So target your Rashee Rice on here and maybe play the end of the draft tight end game and get both Rams tight ends or something like that, which I think is a cool idea to go with. But there you go. If you're not targeting Rashee Rice, if you're not targeting Puka Nacua, I think you gotta just save your bullets for the best ball mania. Let me know if you think I'm on the right page or not. I'm going to attempt to do a draft after this if there's one that's open, and I'll see you in the next one. Peace.